This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 343 for the week of September 1st, 2013. What up, AOs? Welcome to a Kanzenshuu,
the podcast,
an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site.
Kanzenshuu.
That's right, we cover anything and everything Dragon Ball in hopes of enlightening and a little bit of entertaining. Julian, we are 2 weeks out from the home release of Battle of Gods. How excited are you?
Pretty excited, yeah.
You don't sound particularly excited. I mean, you got to see it in theaters.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it.
All right, good.
Picking Ducks sent out this invitation to a viewing party that I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get to, but I got to discuss that with my wife first.
Oh, that would be super cool. I was thinking about doing the same thing.
Yes.
Of course, mine will be late because I won't be home when it comes in, but so maybe everyone will already be done with that by the time I do it. But that sounds really cool. So we got you over there. That's Julian off in Japan. That leaves me. My name is Mike, VegettoEX. We're here to talk about Dragon Ball with you this week. It's an interesting week. We are closing in on that Battle of Gods. A lot of stuff going on. Some cool podcast prep work going on, but it's kind of an in-between episode. So we're going to do news, but we're also going to catch up on some emails. And we just wasted about half an hour doing kind of prep work on emails. Julian, things are going well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It rained a lot today because of this tropical low pressure system in the area. And I don't know. I'm eager for some sunshine again, but the lower temperatures are nice. I'm not sweating simply by existing.
Good. All right. Well, we got some news and then some news we still have to post. So I think we need to do the show so we can do the news posts so the show can link to the news posts and everything is complete.
Yes.
All right. Let's do it then. So Julian, we're going to call it wasted for the time being, 350 yen.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So, Dragon Ball Tap Battle is now available for iOS. Great.
Well, apparently it's been available for a month, and no one bothered to announce it.
Yes, and well, judging by our experience, I think it's fair to say why they haven't announced it. The fact that it's unplayable.
It just doesn't work. Now, Julian, there are a lot of reviews on the Japanese iTunes store saying that we had a couple comments on our Facebook page. It's like, hey, I'm playing it totally fine. Someone on a 4S having no problems. What are you on? Are you on a 4S?
I'm on a 4S.
Okay, so it's definitely not that. It seems like a very poorly coded program right now.
Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, it just refuses to go after the initial download, and it
Yeah, Tap Battle, I guess we can explain. You download it, it's not that big, but then when you launch it, it does this additional data download. And then after that, it crashes on you, right?
Yeah, and I'm not really sure why that is. It doesn't tell you, and there's no response from the developers, apparently, and lots of one-star reviews on the page explaining just that. So, Mike, you owe me a craft beer.
All right, no problem. I'm assuming there will be an update at some point. There already is a 1.1 update that added an in-game store that was also added on a 1.3 update over on the Android version, which did launch first earlier this year. This 1.1 update actually just came out about a week ago, so they are recently on top of it. I guess you can buy extra characters. The top three right now are Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Super Saiyan Vegito, and Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. As we said in the update, of course, that would require you being able to get into the game to purchase these additional character things, but not so much happening right now. Kind of a disaster. I mean, it's not isolated incidents. It seems to be across the board, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are some people who are apparently playing it just fine, but lots of reviews saying that that's not the case. So, I don't know.
I don't remember that from the Android launch. It seemed like that was a much smoother experience. That came first, so maybe that was it. I don't know, whatever. All right, let's, maybe we'll stick with some video game stuff real quick. Julian, this is stuff that has been revealed in a magazine that is not yet out. That is Monday's upcoming issue of Weekly Shonen Jump in Japan. We have some updates on J-Star's Victory Versus. Really interesting because we talked about it that last episode. Like, hey, do you think they'll add supplemental character? Oh, wait, next day. Yes, that's how it goes. If we talk about it, sure enough, the next day we will have news about it. So we got 3 more characters and some other stuff going on in J-Star's Victory Versus.
Yes, so we have rival characters arriving on the scene. So, from Dragon Ball Z, we have Vegeta. I guess from Dragon Ball, really, since it's Jump. But
well, it's weird because they use the DBZ logo in one of the promotional videos. So yeah, it's strange. As I'm writing the updates, do I write Dragon Ball Z and Naruto Shippuden? Do I just write Dragon Ball and Naruto? Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And so, what else do we have? We have Uchiha Sasuke from Naruto, and we have, Zebra from Toriko.
So we get those three coming. They are just straight up playable characters, right?
That is correct. But in addition to that, we have this reveal of support characters who apparently will have different actions on the battlefield. So you have a third character who can be on there, and apparently they'll have certain things that they'll be able to do. We don't really know all that much yet, but we hope that they'll tell us more. And finally, also in this issue, it's revealed that there's transformations beyond the expected bunch. And so, for example, for Yusuke, you have his demon form, and for, Kurosaki Ichigo, you have his hollow form, among others.
Yep, still don't have a date for the game, price, anything like that. It's coming out on the PS3 and the Vita at some point. Don't know when, but it will be shown off in playable form at Tokyo Game Show, as we talked about last time here in the show. That is pretty late September.
Oh, and those Naruto characters also have some transformations or something or other.
I guess they do that stuff.
Yep.
Naruto, Fox, stuff.
Yes.
Sure.
Last time I checked, he was on fire and looked like he was not at all shaded, but I'm not sure what that is exactly.
Last time I checked, I didn't even get up to the Naruto versus Majin Sasuke fight, so I'm a few years behind here. Julian, let's stick with video games real quick. This is something I picked up on the Amazon Japan listing for J Legend Retsuden, which is that new upcoming compilation of mostly Famicom, but one Super Famicom game for old Jump properties. It says something about that game. What is going on here? It's kind of weird.
Yes. So apparently, at least on Amazon, we don't know about anywhere else, as a pack-in bonus for the first pressing, there will be a special download code that will allow you to play that game in its entirety. What is that game? We don't know.
It did the thing where, in quotes, was it Anno? It was just in the Japanese quotes?
Anno game.
So
game.
We don't know what it is. We don't know if it's a game that is a part of the compilation that maybe you can save just to the 3DS SD card on its own, or is it something separate that maybe wasn't done in time to put on the cartridge? We have no idea. And like you said, right now I've only seen this on the Amazon Japan listing. Did note that PlayAsia has the game up for pre-order. They don't say anything about it, so it may be a retailer exclusive. If we see anything else, we'll let you know. Julian, since they announced it for November, we're not too far off. Do you think we're going to see any more game announcements? I mean, they put out the cover art and it covers just the 8 games we know about so far?
Yes, well, I think there's certainly the potential for more. I mean, it's hardly taxing the system with what they've got.
Right. I don't know. I feel like even at that price point, still need more games to make it worth it, especially with just the 3 Dragon Ball games and here's a bunch of other crap. I don't know. All right, well, why don't you give us, we talked about this last time on the show, an update on Color Manga. We got an update on our updates, sort of, kind of.
Yeah. So once again, to explain from the beginning, for, I guess you could say, the summer break from school for the kids, Shueisha put out this interesting smartphone and tablet app for iOS and Android called Jump Live. So throughout the month of August, it's been updating every day with all sorts of original content and some various series, if you will. So they've got the Jump authors doing original illustrations and one-off comics. They've got behind-the-scenes information for certain series like Chaco the Galactic Patrolman, for instance. You have collaborations between, I think it was the author of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Toriko, entitled JoJo's Kitchen.
Right.
So yeah, some really weird and interesting stuff on there. But one of those things was called something called Mainichi Dragon Ball, which was a chapter of Dragon Ball in color being made available every day for the month of August. And it started out with the fight against Ma Jr., the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, before moving on to Frieza, then Cell, and finally Majin Buu. But the final chapter that they showed, which was 516, the end of the Majin Buu fight, had a very interesting detail, and that's, if you're familiar with the manga, the version of the chapter is the version that came out with the Kanzenban, or the complete or perfect edition of the manga, back in 2004. Basically, the destruction of Majin Buu was given an extra page, and in addition to some layout changes, there was also some additional dialogue for Vegeta. So, yeah, that's a interesting fact because along with some other graphical changes that have happened along the course of the series, including the welcome sign in the afterlife being fixed, as well as, if you have the digital edition, Shu's name being changed back to the initial manga version of Soba in chapter 110. Stuff like that taken together indicates that we're probably on track for a Kanzenban ending as well, whenever the Buu arc actually gets released, either digitally or in print.
Right, which has not been announced. We have the Cell stuff coming in September digitally, and that's it.
Yeah, so I'm sure it'll come out eventually. I'd imagine it's a foregone conclusion at this point. If they have the Majin Buu fight already in the proverbial can, because it's not film, and even if it were manga, it wouldn't be film. But anyway,
I get it.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's already finished, is what I'm trying to say. So it's just a matter of time until they release it, and when we find out when they'll release it, we'll tell you.
All right, then. Well, I think that's all we got for news. So to keep it going for a little bit, we're going to answer a bunch of your questions that we got here.
Great.
Get an email here from Luke. Says, he's got a question about episode 194 of Dragon Ball Z. In the episode, what Trunks says, it's a line that translates as, "This is the end for you, I'm going to put you away." And of course, knows that you can take care of this, Julian. We would like to know what it is that Trunks says in Japanese. Could you speak that phonetically and give us a little breakdown? I guess he really likes the line and maybe wants to dig in a little bit. So we did pull up episode 194. You've got the manga in front of you. It is exactly the same line, except he just says, "Junano go, Juachi go" before it.
So this is the scene just after number 17 has the delightful encounter with the man in the car and decides to shoot him. And then Trunks shows up and says, "Kisamara mo kore made da. Katazukete yaru." So this is as far as you get to, "I'm going to put you away," or "I'm going to take care of you."
Gotcha. Now, because it's a specific question about a specific line, why don't you break that down kind of more slowly, more phonetically, and I guess just give us a mini Japanese lesson here.
Okay, so kisamara. So kisama is one of those sort of ironic pronouns. It literally means something along the lines of "my lord," but in this case, it's an expression of contempt, really. So, you, awful people, you.
Gotcha.
And da is it's a plural marker, and mo is you too. So number 17 just killed the guy. So basically, you're gonna die too now.
Okay.
And kore made, up till here, up to here. So this is as far as you get, basically. So this is the end for you two as well, basically. And then katazukete yaru. Katazukeru means to put things away or to clean up. In this case, means to take care of them, so to speak. And yaru literally means to give, generally to someone below you in rank. And taken together here, it's sort of a way of saying you're going to do something for someone else, but they're beneath him. So, in other words, I'm going to do you the favor of putting you away. How nice for you.
Very nice. All right, cool. Appreciate that. So that's your little breakdown, Luke. I hope that answers the question for you. Julian, we have another email here. I don't think I have a name on this one, but it came in from someone in the UK. It says, "Hi, I'm a huge fan of the podcast and I especially love the in-universe discussions that you have. One of the main things that bugs me about Dragon Ball Z is Goku's use of the right here instant transmission. That is, of course, Shunkanido, the instantaneous movement, or if you simply will, teleportation." Goes on to say, "There are many instances during the series where Goku could use this technique to avoid a ki blast or some other form of attack, and he doesn't. I just wondered if you guys had any opinions on this." So, Julian, maybe we'll actually sort of just kind of did. Can you break down Shunkanido? What does that mean?
Yes. So, shun, it's like blink, and kan is a space. So, shunkan is an instant, or the time it takes you to blink. And sort of to move from one place to another, and do is move or just movement. So, ido means moving or movement. So, taken together, shunkan ido is instantaneous movement, or more colloquially, simply teleportation. It's the standard Japanese word for teleportation, in fact.
Gotcha. So Goku's use of teleportation, the way it works in the series, as we're introduced to it, when he comes back from Planet Yardrat. He has to concentrate and kind of hone in on someone's individual ki. Although, I mean, I think later on he also kind of goes for maybe a group of people, like a race, but he has to really focus in on it. When Goku uses it, it's usually to go to a place, the way that I've seen it. He goes to a place and it's kind of, he doesn't, or rather he can't use it just almost against the name of it instantly. He has to kind of concentrate, hone in, get ready to use it. There are instances later in the series where he incorporates it into his fighting style. The one I think to is it's literally called the Shunkanido Kamehameha. That's the Kamehameha he uses against Cell to kind of blow off that top half of him. What's interesting about that usage is he doesn't do the thing where he puts the two fingers on his head and kind of concentrates, figures out where to go. He just kind of does it. So Julian, how do you feel about Goku's use of teleportation kind of incorporated into his fighting style? Should he use it, or would it make sense that he really can't use it like that?
Well, he does use it later on in the series. Like you said, he does use it against Cell, and he uses it against Buu. If you look carefully in his fight against particularly the pure Majin Buu, he uses it at least once to try and get behind the other one and counter him. So he does eventually incorporate it into his fighting style. And particularly when you get to Battle of Gods, he uses it a lot. And this is, I guess I'm getting into spoiler territory here.
Yeah, we're 2 weeks off. It's not too bad.
To, basically hold his own against an opponent who completely outclasses him. So he does, in fact, eventually incorporate it into his fighting style, but I've always sort of interpreted this as him at first not having completely mastered it and needing time to concentrate.
Yeah.
But eventually he has it down to the point where it's no longer so necessary.
Right.
And again, just, he's constantly training and trying to figure out how to incorporate things into his fighting techniques.
Yeah, early on, it's I need to go to a kind of rough location place. But as he's using it in his fighting style here, I mean, let's just say, Cell, Buu, Beerus, it's not like they're on a different continent on the planet. I mean, they're right there in front of him. So it's not that he needs to go there. It's kind of that he needs to maneuver himself behind them. That seems like a really advanced version of the raw technique. And yeah, I think to kind of use it to go to a very specific, almost coordinate, rather than going to go to Namek, seems very different.
Yes. And I think in this case, it's sort of, we're supposed to take it as that he's honed it over time to the point where he's able to do that. So I don't think it's something that he doesn't use when he could have, although there were some instances where maybe it would have come in handy.
Yeah.
But I think later in the series, he does tend to use it when it would make sense to use it.
Sure.
So, I think early on it's just a matter of it not being as useful as it becomes later because he's not as used to it or he hasn't refined it to that point. But again, any inconsistencies that you may pick up on, I'm sure are just the fault of the author forgetting.
Right. All right, we'll move on. Julian, I have an email here for you from Julian.
Did I accidentally carbon copy myself in an email, or?
This is more of just a funny thing, and it's got this surface level funny, but I think there's a serious answer to it. It says, "Hello, my name is Julian. Only Brazil is the only big fan of Dragon Ball, is the best manga anime of all time. Asks from me is, why do not you make a website in Portuguese? Thank you." Julian, why do we not have a website in Portuguese?
Because we don't speak Portuguese the same way that you apparently don't speak English.
See, now you're being rude.
Well, yeah, but we don't.
I mean, I think that's really the simplest answer. We do want to bring our information to as many people as possible. It just so happens that the four of us who run the site, our primary language is English. And, well, English has become the de facto standard language of the internet, so it kind of works in our favor in some regard.
Yes. Aren't we so privileged growing up in an English-speaking country?
Right.
But let's not get into that sort of prestige in politics and all that. Anyway, but yes, it so happens that the four of us on the website are native English speakers. And we have various degrees of other languages. I'm basically fluent in Japanese, and so is Jake, although I've never actually spoken to him directly, so I don't know.
Have you two ever been on the same podcast episode?
We may have once or twice.
But not together.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I know what he sounds like, but I've never, tried, holding a conversation with him in Japanese or anything.
That's so weird. We should do that one day.
Yeah.
All right.
Why not? We could have an entire podcast episode in Japanese. How about that?
I think that's a good idea.
I think you still have to do one in French, as I recall.
Don't remind me. We're coming up on that at some point, aren't we? All right, let's move on. Got another one here. Again, don't really have a name. Hey guys, I'm a longtime podcast listener and recently happened to stumble upon a Japanese jazz band called Anime That Jazz that recorded covers of Romantico Agerio and Bokutachi wa Tenshidata. I was wondering if you had heard this group. If you have, what did you think of the covers? If you haven't, I encourage you to check them out. Julian, there's a lot of anime cover bands and cover albums in Japan. There have been quite a few jazz ones. I think we've definitely picked up a few over time.
Yeah, I've heard random things, as sometimes even sort of music in stores that sell related merchandise and that sort of thing. I know I've picked up on a couple of them over the years, like what was their name? The all-female group that did a cover of Makafushigi Adventure. Tokyo something brass.
Yes. Yep. Sure.
Something like that. But there's a lot that sort of slipped through the cracks. And I mean, these are well-known songs. And, if that's your shtick, if you're going to be covering animation-related songs, that's definitely one of the candidates, certainly. So it comes as no surprise, but certainly it's always a delight and sort of something to look forward to when we happen across one of these things. So certainly, if you find something, point it out to us, and we'll take a look and a listen. And certainly, we'd like to share it with everyone, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I like to cover songs whenever they come out, but occasionally we miss a few, and some of them are so low budget that it's almost not even worth covering. These jazz ones are usually pretty good, but there's a lot of like kids compilation cover album. It's almost the equivalent of Kids Bop over here. I usually don't bother covering those kind of things. I mean, those are coming out every couple months in Japan.
That's true. But you just said you were going to cover songs.
I know.
I want to hear the Mike cover of one of the Dragon Ball songs.
What's one of my favorite cover? Really think one of my favorite covers recently is that Sasaki Sayaka cover of Bokutachi. There's nothing really for me to cover with it. I just think it's a really good rendition. It's not like I could do a sarcastic cover of it. I just like it. So
no, Mike. No, I want to hear your cover
of a cover or just
of a
any song.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I did end one episode of the podcast years ago, and I talked over it so you couldn't hear it too well. Me singing the Budokai 3 opening. Mayagare.
Okay.
Good stuff.
I guess you're off the hook then.
All right. Let's see. Julian, we still get this so often. I'm going to let you answer it. Superman would beat Goku, right? But does Goku have any stats over Superman? What do you want to do here?
I'm sure they're very powerful characters, each of them, and they both have their various strengths and weaknesses and stuff. Hey, look, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan.
Julian's distracted, showing me some of the greatest things in the manga.
Anyway, where were we? Yes. In short, I don't have an opinion one way or another.
Yeah, we really don't. I mean, we provided all of the Dragon Ball research to Screw Attack for their death battle video of Goku versus Superman. Check it out. I certainly don't have any problem with the result of the video. I mean,
yes.
There you go.
Really, I mean, it's a fun little thing, but don't take it too seriously. If you get bent out of shape because somebody says that Superman is stronger than Goku, deep breath. Remind yourself that it's a cartoon. It's just drawings on paper, both of them. You don't need to get so emotionally invested. Just enjoy the ride,
I hear you. Here's a question we get pretty often. The one I got here dates back to May, but I'd say we get it every couple weeks. Julian, I know you're going to have an answer for this. The raw question is simply, is Dragon Ball Kai going to continue? Take us back. What's going on here?
Well, Dragon Ball Kai was unceremoniously taken off the air after its actually 97th episode. It was originally intended to be after 98 episodes, but the big earthquake and tsunami of 2011 sort of made that happen a little bit earlier.
Right.
And there's a lot of things that people were saying that they were really trying to do it on the cheap, that it wasn't making the kind of money that they expected it to, partly because, well, it's Dragon Ball, and people tuned in to watch it, but they didn't buy any of the related merchandise because, well, they already had it. They didn't feel a need to buy Kai specifically. So in the end, it got sort of cut short at the Cell arc, but then there were rumblings down the line later on that maybe something would happen. And finally, Mayumi Tanaka, the voice of Kuririn and Yajirobe, on her blog revealed that they started recording for the Buu arc of Kai for overseas.
Right. This was back in November 2012, so
yeah,
we're closing in on a year here.
Yeah, about 10 months ago now. Well, after that, nobody said anything, and a couple of things off the record that we've heard from various sources indicate that maybe it was a little bit premature, that they weren't supposed to say anything for any time.
Right.
But at the same time, the same thing has happened with the English adaptation, where Funimation voice actors have clearly stated that they are working on this, and then they have had to backtrack very quickly when the marketing department catches up with them.
Suddenly tweets disappear, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
So it's an open secret on both sides of the Pacific that they're working on this. We don't know exactly how far they've gotten, and we have no idea of any kind of time frame as to when or how it will make an appearance. But it exists. But we don't know any more than that.
Just talking about open secrets, Kai is crazy because there's the Ocean dub of Kai, which several Ocean Studios Vancouver voice actors have said they're working on. We have confirmed voice actor names for plenty of roles, and people who've said that they did not get roles. Like, all this stuff, it's so weird. Have they missed the boat with all of this, with the Ocean dub of Kai, with the continuation, the Buu arc of Kai? Is it too late, and is it just going to come out with a whimper when it finally does?
I really have no idea. It really depends on how they try and push it, I think. If they incorporate it somehow into the push for Battle of Gods, which, is Dragon Ball Z rather than Kai, but certainly it would tie into things since, you've got the Buu arc and then Battle of Gods.
Right.
But, I think the longer they wait, the more difficult it is to do something with it.
I think they've waited too long. I think Toei, as much as they are almost boasting about how, we're adapting and we're changing and we're doing whatever we need to do, like, they are still moving so slow that it's almost laughable. It's not working, man.
Yeah, it is very strange. We're getting into a time where people expect things more or less instantaneously. And I know it's not always right to do that, but, people have short attention spans. And I think it's interesting because Shueisha has made great strides relatively recently, within the past year, even within the past 6 months, to really getting into the digital realm and pushing things out on, at a faster clip so people can stay interested.
Yeah.
I don't see the same thing from some of the animation companies, though.
I mean, it's more expensive. You're working with outside studios. I mean, there's a lot of work in the Philippines going on. I understand that. However, not our problem. It's your problem.
Yes.
So.
And I really feel like they overestimated the amount of money they would get on something that's always been, since at least the early 2000s, a sort of nostalgia trip for a lot of people. And, the people who really banked on the nostalgia were the people who went and bought the DVD sets and already owned the entirety of the manga.
Again, which peaked in 2007, and then who cared after that?
Yeah. So in some ways, Kai, I think, was already a little too late. And they were obviously trying to get a new generation into it. But at the same time, well, their older siblings, their parents already own the manga and the DVDs for the original series. So, who's going to rush out and buy these new sets for Kai except for the absolute completists? I mean, even the other merchandise is basically Z merchandise with a different logo slapped onto it. So it stuff that people had already.
And we've talked about this extensively. If you want an obscenely timely analysis of this, I will point you back to podcast episode 252. That was March 2011. Heath and Corey were here in my house. It was wonderful. It was just announced and it was just ending, and we literally answered, what the hell just happened to Dragon Ball Kai? So I point you back to that episode if you want to dive back. I mean, we did the financial analysis. We did everything at that point. So please check that out. So, Julian, I think we'll bring it to a close. We answered some good questions. We get some questions that people ask constantly that we kind of have to answer every year or so, like the Dragon Ball Kai. Crazy, the Dragon Ball Kai is old now in 2013. Weird. Remember when that was just announced? And wow.
Yeah.
All right. So, Julian, if people have questions, there are various things they can do.
If you have a question or a comment or invective, although I hope you are a little bit more polite than that, you can use the contact form on our website at www.kanzenshuu.com. Just look at the navigation bar up top and find the Contact Us part. And click on that and a little form will appear. You can also contact us on Facebook. We are at, actually still DaizenshooEX on Facebook due to a variety of things that are a headache for us.
It's still /DaizenshooEX, but you can just click the Facebook logo up at the top and you'll get
yes.
there.
And finally, you can get to us on Twitter at sign plus Kanzenshuu, KANZENSHUU. And we also do have a Google Plus account that we sometimes remember.
We have a Tumblr. I haven't put up any pictures of my cats recently, but I'll try to get on that.
So yeah, anyway, there's a variety of means to get in touch with us. So certainly try it out. We'd be happy to hear from you.
That's right. All right. So we're going to bring this to a close. This was a kind of short, chill episode, but I needed it. I think we all needed it. 342. We are coming into a very busy season again. Remember, Battle of Gods is only 2 weeks out, the home release. Go back and check out our review, Julian. I don't remember the episode number, but it was March 30th, 2013. You saw the movie. We did the review that same day. So you can check out that episode. If you want a preview of what's to come, we will review the content again. We will be reviewing the special edition packaging, all that stuff. We're coming up later this year on the 5-year anniversary of the Jump Super Anime Tour special. So we will be revisiting that. I'm really excited to do that. I haven't watched it in a couple of years at this point. So and we've got our special game music podcast number 2 coming up in a couple of weeks as well. Retrospective. There are great things coming your way on the site and podcast. We have Jocko the Galactic Patrolman still going on. We're only a couple chapters left. Julian, what chapter comes out this week? 8?
Well, yeah, I think. Wait, no, 7? 7, 8? 7? I think it's chapter 7.
I believe it's chapter 7, yeah. So of, what was it? Was it 12 plus 1 or 13 plus 1, they said?
It's 10 plus 1.
10 plus 1. Okay.
So 11 chapters total. So we'll probably be finished within the month of September.
Wow.
Or, no, maybe there'll be a little bit in October because we do have a holiday coming up in September.
Oh, is there going to be another week off double issue thing?
There may be, or they may release it on Saturday. I don't remember their exact pattern.
Okay.
It's only a single holiday, so they may just release it on Saturday. So we may still finish within the month of September, but we'll see. We'll definitely, once everything is finished, we'll go through a major overview of the series and maybe share some interesting tidbits. We have been just on our own covering things fairly in depth. Maybe you'll see the fruits of our labor eventually.
When the series is over, I think we'll be ready to just post the whole damn thing up. It'll just all one shot. Here you go. So
cool.
Look forward to that. So,
fantastic.
Awesome stuff coming. So, Julian, we already said the site, kanzenshuu.com. So I will thank you again, sir.
Yes, it's my pleasure to be here.
Great. So that's you. Man, I got a wedding next weekend, and then I'm on vacation. So it's going to be some up in the air when podcast is coming out, who's on the podcast. But we'll get some things coming your way to your ears. Maybe I'll kick you the curb for a bit and bring in someone else. You've done too many shows. Get out of here.
Okay, thanks.
So thank you to Julian. Of course, we've got Jake, we've got Heath, and occasionally Mary stops by.
完全に消え去ってしまえ。Kanzenshuu.